Hey there and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the single most important piece of software running on your computer, its operating system. So let's just dive right in. So let me ask you something. Have you ever really thought about what's happening when you click an icon or type something out? Who or what is actually in charge? Who's making sure all the different parts of your computer are actually talking to each other? Well, that's where the operating system, or OS, comes in. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a school principal. The OS is the master coordinator, the one making sure all the different parts, the hardware, the software, and you, the user, are all on the same page and working together smoothly. To put it simply, without an OS, your computer is just a box of parts. It's the essential go-between that lets you talk to the machine. It controls your printer, your speakers, everything. And, maybe most importantly, it's what lets you multitask, writing an email while listening to music. It's the ultimate manager, keeping all those plates spinning at once. Now, not all operating systems are created equal. They pretty much fall into two big categories. On one side, you've got single-user systems. This is probably what you're using right now, like Microsoft Windows or Mac OS. It's designed for one person at a time. But then, in big places like offices or airports, they use multi-user systems, like Linux or Unix, where lots of people can tap into the same main computer all at once. That brings us to a really huge turning point in computing. I mean, how did we get from these super complex machines only a few experts could use to something everybody has? It was all about giving the computer a friendlier face. In the early days, you had to be a pro. You had to memorize and type out these long, perfect text commands for every little thing. Make one typo and nope, nothing happens. Then, bam, the GUI arrives, and suddenly, instead of typing, you're just pointing and clicking on pictures and icons. This was a total game changer. It made computers for everyone. So what exactly is a GUI? It stands for Graphical User Interface. It's this whole visual world of windows, buttons, and icons that just feels so natural to us now. It's the reason billions of people can use a computer without needing a special degree. And you can really see that idea evolving right here on this timeline. Just look at the journey of Microsoft Windows. You can see it go from these basic, kind of clunky boxes back in the 80s to the sleek, intuitive designs of Windows 7 and 10. Every single version got a little easier, a little friendlier. Okay, that's enough history for now. Let's bring this into the here and now and talk about the screen you probably look at every single day. Let's take a little tour of your digital desktop. All right, so every time you turn on your computer, there's that little wait while it gets going, right? Well, that process has a name. It's called booting. That's just the OS loading itself up. And once it's done, that first screen you land on, your main command center, that's the desktop. And what's all over your desktop? Icons. Here's a great way to think about them. They're like the labeled books on a shelf in a library. They're just little pictures that give you a quick, visual clue about the program or file you're about to open. And you'll almost always see a few of the same ones. This PC is basically the front door to everything stored on your computer. The recycle bin is your safety net for anything you delete. And of course, you've got your files, which are just collections of information, and your folders, which are what you use to keep all those files organized. Okay, now I want you to look down at the very bottom of your screen. That long bar that runs across, that's not just there for decoration. That's your command and control center. It's the taskbar. The easiest way to understand the taskbar is to break it into 4 zones. Way over on the left, you've got the Start button. That's the main gate to pretty much everything. Then, that big middle section shows you all the apps you have open. Over on the right, you've got the Notification area with a time and other status icons. And see that tiny little sliver on the far, far right? That's the Show Desktop button. One click and it hides everything. Super handy. So we've got the desktop, icons, and a taskbar. But every time you actually open a program, you're working inside one of these rectangular boxes we call a window. Let's break one down. So nearly every window you open has the same basic parts. Right at the top, you have the title bar. It tells you what you're working on, and it has those all-important minimize, maximize, and close buttons. Right below that, you usually have the ribbon, which has all your tools and commands organized into tabs. The big empty part in the middle, that's your work area. And if there's too much stuff to fit, scroll bars will pop up on the side so you can move around. All right, now that you get the basic layout of your digital world, it's time for the really fun part. Let's talk about how to stop using the default settings and really make this space your own. The first and maybe the most obvious way to personalize your computer is with the wallpaper. That's just the fancy name for the background picture that sits behind all your icons.
And changing it could not be easier. Seriously, just find a blank spot on your desktop, right-click your mouse, choose Personalize, and in the Background section, you can pick any picture you want. It's that simple.
Next up, we have the screensaver. You know what this is. It's that moving picture or animation that pops up when you've been away from your computer for a few minutes. It's just another fun way to give your machine a bit of personality. And setting it up is just as straightforward. You start the exact same way. Right-click the desktop and hit Personalize. But this time, you'll go to the lock screen settings. From there, you'll see Screensaver settings, and you can just pick one from the list. And you're done. And there you have it. From the big idea of what an OS even is, all the way down to the little buttons on a window, you now get how your digital world works. You really do have the keys to understand it, control it, and best of all, customize it. So that leaves just one final question. Now that you know the basics, what's the very first thing you're going to change to make your desktop feel a little more like, well, you? Thanks for tuning in.